You have probably heard someone say it. That being gay is a modern thing, a product of television, the internet, the last few decades, something that did not exist in the ancient world. It sounds reasonable. It is also completely wrong. But the real answer is far stranger than a simple yes or no, because the people existed. What did not exist was the word. To understand that, you have to travel back much further than you think. Around 4,500 years ago, in ancient Egypt, two men were buried together in a shared tomb. Their names were Nianchchnum and Khnumhotep. On the walls, they are shown face to face, noses almost touching, in a pose normally reserved for married couples. Scholars still argue about what they were to each other, but that argument itself tells you something. Even the oldest records of human life already contain people whose closeness does not fit a simple box. Now, move forward to ancient Greece. Here, same-sex relationships were not hidden in the shadows. They were written about, painted on pottery, and discussed by philosophers. In Plato's Symposium, one speaker tells a myth that humans were once split in two and spend their lives searching for their other half, sometimes the opposite sex, sometimes the same. Love between men was simply one of the kinds of love a person could feel. The scholar Kenneth Dover spent years studying this. His landmark book, Greek Homosexuality, showed that these relationships had their own customs, expectations, and rules. They were a recognized part of the culture, not an exception to it. And it was not only men. On the island of Lesbos, around 600 years before Christ, a poet named Sappho wrote some of the most tender love poetry in history, much of it addressed to women. Her words were so famous that her home island gave us the word lesbian, and her name gave us the word sapphic. The feelings she described are thousands of years old. So if the feelings, the relationships, and even the poetry all existed, why do people think being gay is modern? Here is the strange part. The behavior is ancient, but the identity is new. For most of history, no one was called gay because the category did not exist. People did things, but they were not sorted into types of people based on who they loved. The very word homosexual was only invented in 1868 by a writer named Carl Maria Kurtbeny, who used it while arguing against laws that punished same-sex acts. Before that word, there was no neat label to be placed under. The philosopher Michel Foucault made this his central idea. In his History of Sexuality, he argued that the homosexual, as a kind of person, was essentially born in the 19th century. Before then, he said, there were acts, not identities. A person might do something, but they did not become a category because of it. Think about how different that is from today. You live in a world that sorts people into clear groups: gay, straight, bisexual. To you, these feel like obvious, permanent facts about a person. But to someone in ancient Rome or Greece, that way of sorting humans would have seemed bizarre. They saw behavior, roles, and relationships, not fixed inner identities. This is why the question, did gay people exist in ancient times, is harder than it looks. If you mean, did people love and desire others of the same sex, then yes, absolutely, everywhere, in every era. If you mean, did they call themselves gay and understand it the way you do, then no, because that idea had not been invented yet. And the way societies treated these relationships was not a simple line from cruelty to acceptance. The historian John Boswell, working at Yale, showed that attitudes rose and fell across the centuries. Some periods were remarkably tolerant, others were harsh. Acceptance was not something the modern world discovered for the first time. In many places, it was something that had been lost and then slowly found again. So what does all of this mean for you? It means the labels you carry, the words that feel so solid and permanent, are mostly very young. The feelings underneath them are ancient. Humans have always loved across every line you can imagine. What keeps changing is not the human heart. It is the words we wrap around it and the stories we tell about what those words mean. The people in that Egyptian tomb did not have a word for what they were. Neither did Sappho. Neither did the lovers painted on Greek pottery. They simply lived and loved long before anyone thought to give it a name. So the next time you hear that being gay is a modern thing, remember the truth is far stranger. The word is modern, the label is modern. But the people were always here. They were here in Egypt, in Greece, on the island of Lesbos, in every century of human history. We did not invent them. We only at last invented a name.